and thank you for joining me for Tune In Tuesday. My name is Sharon Rogers and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Wells, Maine in the United States, and every second and fourth Tuesday I bring you an online class. Now the class is free to watch. You didn't pay to get here, right? But if you would like the class kit that will allow you to create each of the projects that I will show you tonight, then simply place an order of $35 before shipping and tax in my online store by Sunday, September 29th at 9 p.m. If your order is $60 or more, I have an extra treat for you, and you'll find out what that is a little bit later on in this video. Let's get started. The More Than Autumn bundle is a fantastic bundle to use to send cards to friends and co-workers and anyone you just want to celebrate the season with, or send a nice little gift card. Obviously you can use it for happy birthdays and other occasions as well, but this is just really a fun set that will take you really through more than just autumn, which is why it has its name. So we have the autumn things like pumpkin pie and spice and apples, but we also have gingerbread and marshmallows for hot cocoa, and eggnog. Like, it's fantastic. And then of course donuts year round, right? Let's get started. I'm bringing in a piece of basic white scrap, and I want to stamp my focal image on this. So my focal image is going to be from this set that has all these wonderful fall things in it. I'm going to use pumpkin pie, the pumpkin pie. We will get to the drinks later, which I know you all love, but I do not drink pumpkin spice lattes. I don't drink peppermint tea. I will have maybe a small glass of eggnog once at Christmas. I might have a few sips of hot apple cider in the fall if I go apple picking, or potentially at my retreat on October 12th. Hint, hint, for those of you coming. I will drink 1 or 2 cups of hot cocoa in the winter, but that is about it. I'm not a hot drink person, so I'll get to the drinks later. But for right now, we're going to go with the pumpkin pie. Bring in my early espresso. It's a water-based ink. So we have that. And I also want to bring in the whipped topping, because you gotta have some whipped topping, whether it's whipped cream or Cool Whip, on top of your pumpkin pie. Now, if you look in the stamp set, there's a very large whipped topping, but there are 2 dies. There's a large one that cuts out the whole thing, and then there's a smaller one. Oops. There's a smaller one that cuts out just the top of it, and that's perfect for the apple pie. I don't want, however, I don't really want my whipped cream to be early espresso. That's kind of dark for whipped cream, even though it's just the lines on the whipped cream. So let's bring in our crumb cake. And I don't want it full strength either, because that's pretty dark. But if I stamp it again, it's just got kind of the little folds in it that you see. You can use either one. They will look fine. But let's color this in with our Stampin' Blends. We stamped with a water-based ink, so we can color in with Stampin' Blends, which are alcohol-based, and that's not going to run. I'll begin by coloring in my pumpkin pie, the pumpkin part, with the light pumpkin marker. I could use the other end, the bullet tip end, but these markers seem to have been through it. Sometimes when I use my markers in class, they get a little well used and loved. I'll bring in my dark now, and let's bring in some color more around the edges here. So the light's going to be hitting it somewhere, probably in the middle. Oh, we're going to be covering a lot of that up anyways. So maybe the light's going to hit a little bit more on the side here. So I'm just leave that in. Now let's go back in and blend this in a little bit more. So that softens it, but it's still a little bit lighter in the middle there. But the more you color, the smoother everything gets. And come back in here and just make it a little bit richer around the edges. The colors really do blend so nicely together. It gives you that beautiful pumpkin pie look. Okay, and you know what? I've got my dollop of whipped cream going there, so let's go ahead. So see how it looks like the light is catching that one spot right there. Let's bring in a couple other colors here. I have dark pecan pie, which I think is going to be too dark, but I have the light pecan pie, which will be a really great color for the crust. But I think I also want to use maybe the dark crumb cake. I want a couple of different colors on my crust. Let's color this in here. That's kind of a dull looking crust, I think you'd agree. We want to bring in a little bit of warmth to that. And that's what the pecan pie blend is going to be for. And I'm going to use the light one. Yep, light. And let's see all these places where Stampin' Up! Has put some lines, which that's where the darker shadows are going to be. I'm gonna put some around here too, I think. Crust a little bit darker on the bottom. All right. And the lines are a little bit harsh up here. I'll go over them one more time, and I'll bring in my light and blend those in. So you've got a nice little crust going on there. We will now go ahead and put on our dies, our dies onto the stamped images so that we can get them cut out. Let's see. It might be hard for you to see where I'm positioning this because it's so light. And we need the pumpkin pie die. Let's see, we can get that situated here. That looks pretty good. And we will die cut this. Die cutting, you need plates 1, 2, and 3. You need what you're die cutting. And then you need another 3 plate. We are only in September, but it is not too early to be thinking about Christmas. And if you don't have a Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, you should ask for one for Christmas. You will love it and use it often. All right, there is my whipped cream. And you can even give your person who might buy you one my name and contact info and say, hey, contact her. I won't know if you do or not. So contact her, and then it'll be a surprise if I get one. You can even give them a couple ideas of things that you'd like. Bringing in a blending brush, picking up a little bit of pumpkin pie here. I'm going to create a little bit of halo. I'm going to rub some of this off because I don't want any strong color coming onto my white piece here. I just want a bit of a pumpkin glow. Pumpkin glow. That looks pretty good, I think. We may as well put our little dollop of whipped cream onto our pumpkin pie. Just need a little bit of glue. You could even use a glue dot here, I think. Let's see. Right there. Okay. And we will put this on with dimensionals. Actually, I think it needs something a little bit more than just dimensional. I think it needs something underneath it, but let's wait and see. I'm not taking the dimensional backs off yet, but that's what it will look like there. Now I need some words here. So I think we'll use nothing's better than pumpkin pie. I mean, I don't know if you think that's true or not. It doesn't have to be true or not. In this instance, maybe there is nothing better than pumpkin pie. So I have mounted this. And here's a little tip for mounting, especially on these long, thin word stamps. Let me clean this and I'm going to show you. I have mine mounted very nicely. It's nice and straight. But if I were to put this on here, it's very easy to distort it. I don't know if you can tell, but that is definitely crooked. The thing about photopolymer stamps is you can even put this in an arc. Did you know that you could do that? And you could stamp it that way. I don't want it that way. And I'll show you why. But in order to get it straight, just let it fall, stamp down onto a surface, and then pick it up, and then it will be straight because it wants to retain its natural shape. So that's just a little bit of a little tip for you. I'll put this back before I lose it. That's the thing about clear stamps. They're easy to lose because they're clear. All right. I'm going to bring in the word pumpkin. And in a second, I'm going to bring in the word pie. So nothing's better than, let's bring in the pumpkin ink. We'll stamp nothing's better than, and we're going to stamp the words pumpkin. Now to get this straight, I'm going to use my Glass Mat Studio because it's got the grid lines on it. If you have grid paper, that works as well. And there's my pumpkin. Now I need to put in my pie. So here's the word pie. There we go. Pumpkin pie. Here's a little trick. I mean, I can just trim this out here with my snips. You could use a paper cutter if you wanted to. This goes pretty easily. You could do nothing's better than, or you can snip apart these words. Nothing's better than, or you could do nothing's better than, let's see, how do we want to put this? We could do all kind of straight over here. I don't know, I'm making it up as I go. Nothing's better than, maybe not quite so tilty. Nothing's better than. No, I don't like that. Nothing's better than. I don't want it straight. No, I don't like that at all. How about nothing's better than? All right, I'm gonna go with something like this. Nothing's better than. But it's looking a little bit plain to me. I mean, we will add some gems at the end. But what I think I'm going to do is bring in some twine. We have a package of these Baker's Twine Essential Packs. And I'm going to just take a bunch out and I'm going to wrap it up. Let's see. Get my ends sort of in the middle. Now if I put this underneath my pie, that definitely calls a little bit more attention to it. You can also tie a bow. You could tie a big leafy bow, you know, a big bow kind of thing. Oh, that's the same thing I kind of had, right? So you could do a big bow here. Stampin' Up! Does this quite a bit. And I know at least one of you, hi Joyce, does not like it. So you could do something that looks like this. In this instance, I'm going to agree with Joyce. I'm not a big bow fan either. So let's go ahead and we'll just wrap it up like I did the first time. And we're gonna put this down in the middle. Now, I don't want my loose ends sticking out. So I'm gonna make sure that they are somewhat in the middle here. That will be covered up by the pumpkin pie. And I can't trust that these two dimensionals are going to pick it up. So I thought I would bring in a piece of tear and tape. And oops, it just came off in my hand. Let's see. What we'll do is just see if, oops. Put that down right like that. I do want this last little one to kind of come in here. All right. And now we have something to lay the pumpkin pie on. All right, so we have that. And let's go ahead and glue our nothing's better than. You know what? I decided I'm gonna make it crooked. Whimsical. All right, now the last one I just need to know. Yeah, that's good. Nothing's better than. Nothing's better than pumpkin pie. All right. Let's bring in some of our other layers that I've already got cut. So we've got I can't remember which layer is right over here. I think it's this one. So We've got a piece that's cut just 1/4 inch larger. So the white piece is 4 1/4. Sorry, it is 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. This next size up is 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. And then we're going to have our regular card base right here. Let's adhere all these pieces together. So if I were to use some other things in this set, and maybe I used the cup, I could use a red background or a green background for an apple. Maybe you put the little apple on the cup and then it's apple cider. You could use red and white striped designer series paper in the background, or even just a red glow background for maybe peppermint something or other, peppermint hot chocolate, peppermint tea. All right, so we've got that. I think I might need a little something extra, and it might be a little pumpkin. Like there's a little bit too much space down here for me. So we can do that, or we can bring in some gems. These are my favorite fall gems. You can see I've used a lot of them in here. I've got more packages though. I'm going to take these sequins, and we're going to add some over here to our project. If I put this down at the bottom, it does help, but I have another plan. I think. So let's just put a few of these on here, just to spice it up. Haha, pumpkin spice it up. Here's our little pumpkin. I think we're just going to put it right off to the side. And we're going to see, you know what? I'm not brave enough. I'm going to cut a little scrap and see how I like it first. I'll see how I like it first. And this isn't bad to fussy cut. There is a die for it, but let's just fussy cut it and see how we like it. We'll color the pumpkin. I'm not even going to bother to shade it really, because it's little. I cut this out only because I want to see if I can just stamp it and it'll look fine. In fact, I don't even have to really meticulously cut it out, because if I'm just seeing whether or not I can stamp it, we've got something that looks like that. Let's see, do we want it centered? We don't want it centered. I don't like the look of that at all. Maybe we do something like this. You see how the rest of the white that I didn't even cut out kind of disappears right into the card? Of course, I know it's there, so I'm not going to stamp it. I will actually go ahead and put this up on dimensionals, because it's a cute little pumpkin. Well, let's get a little dimensional here. I think a mini dimensional, or maybe just the edge. Just the edge. I need something small. Okay. Here we go. Nothing's better than pumpkin pie. And look how fresh this looks. So it doesn't look heavy like fall sometimes can look. So it's nice and fresh and light and airy. Hopefully just like the pumpkin pie. Now inside, you can go ahead and stamp a pumpkin patch in here at the bottom. You can just put a bunch of these around, overlapping a bit. I don't even worry that the lines run into each other a little bit. I think that's fine. It is a pumpkin patch. So we have just a little pumpkin patch at the bottom, and the cardstock base is light enough so that you can just write your note there. And maybe you're inviting somebody over for pumpkin pie. That's our first card. Now, if there is a pattern that goes with fall, it is plaid. The flannels come out and all you see everywhere is plaid. And this sketched plaid stamp set will give you plaid in no time. I've gone ahead and mounted it on a large block. Because I use it face up, I technically don't have to mount it at all, but I did on one of the large blocks. I'm going to ink it with my Early Espresso. Make sure it's well inked. All right, now I see a couple of spots in here that look like they might be higher than some of the other spots. So I'm going to just tap those down a little bit. I'm going to lay a piece of crumb cake very carefully over the top, using the lines to line it up. And if I use the lines on one side, it's pretty good all the way around. In order not to get my hands inky, I'm going to place a piece of scrap paper over the top, and then I'm going to rub. So let's see what we've got. Oh, look at that. Now we could use the plaid just like that if we wanted to, or we can bring in some Stampin' Blends. Because I've used a classic stamp pad, which is water-based, I can bring in Stampin' Blends, which are alcohol-based, and color in between the lines. And that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm a little off center here, but that's okay. It's not gonna bother me, I don't think. Another thing you can do is you can stamp onto a larger piece than you need and then trim it so that you get it all straight. I'm gonna just alternate some lines here. And I'm using the leftmost skinny strips to be my light crumb cake. And then I will bring in my pumpkin pie, my dark pumpkin pie. And go here. So yes, this takes a little bit of time, but I think the results are so worth it, especially if you don't have a plaid DSP that you want to use. We do have several plaid DSPs in various combinations, but this one worked with the colors. Well, none of them, I guess, worked with the colors that I wanted for this particular card. So I'm making my own. And there we go. Isn't that pretty? Oh, I love it. Love it, love it, love it. So just think about all the possibilities that you have for making plaids. You've seen them all in the store. We have lots of different combination possibilities. Now I'm going to bring in my cup stamp. Look, I haven't even used this yet. I just got it in. And we need a block to mount it on, obviously. I'm going to ink up my cup in Early Espresso and stamp it on a piece of pumpkin pie. We're gonna really make this pumpkin pie-ish looking. You know what? I don't really know if I want to do it on pumpkin pie. So I'm going to go ahead and, just in case, stamp it, because I can use this on something else as well, on a piece of basic beige, which is our newest neutral color. And then we need to just die cut this out with our die. So we've got a piece of tape here. Let's put this right around. That looks good. And bring in our die cutting machine. We need plate 1, 2. We need a number 3 plate. And we need another number 3 plate. See that bang? That I really should have placed my cup on an angle a little bit more so that the top and bottom wouldn't be parallel going through. That would save that little bang noise, which is always honestly a little disturbing, even if you've done it forever. Now, even though I think I'm going to use the pumpkin pie one, I'm going to go ahead and do this again with my other cup, my basic beige cup. And I'm not going to be able to put this one in sideways because I'm using such a large piece of cardstock. All right. Now, you may have noticed that I just stopped partway and ran it backwards. That's because sometimes when you run it all the way through, especially if your plates are as marred as mine, you might add some texture unknowingly or unintendingly, is that a word? To your cardstock. So that's why I just ran through what I really needed to run through. All right, there we've got that. We could give it a wrap by just fussy cutting along this line and along this line. And then piecing this right on there. Now I would probably just cut off these extra ones too, just so I don't have any basic beige showing on the outside edges. And you put that right there, and there you've got your little cup wrap. Keeps your hands from getting too hot. Let's go ahead and bring in our little pumpkin here. And we just need another little block for that. Also going to be using my early espresso. Everything has to be stamped in black because the black is just as water-based as the early espresso is. I put that right on there. And we can color it in with our blends. I will start with my light pumpkin pie here. Give it an overall wash. I'm going to come in and with my pumpkin pie dark and give it some extra color. I'm going to blend some more, so I'm not done. And I'm leaving this middle kind of open where the light is hitting it. And so I'm blending it in to make it a little bit softer. I'm just going to keep on going till I get the way I want it. I need a little bit more up here, I think. There, that looks pretty good. Now we can attach that to our cup. There we go. That looks good. You know what would make this yummy? Whipped cream. Let's go ahead and stamp our whipped cream in basic beige. It's a little bit lighter than the crumb cake. There we go. We'll run this through our die cutting machine. Okay, here is our little piece of, or dollop of whipped cream. It's actually not little either when you look at the size of the cup. Let's bring in our pieces here. I've gone ahead also and die cut a large early espresso circle because we're going to put that on here. We're going to use a base card of orange. We're going to bring this in here. And where is our cup? All right, we've got our cup and we've got our little dollop of whipped cream. It feels like we need something else in here, right? So let's see what else we have in here that we could put on here. Ooh, there is a cinnamon stick, or ooh, there's a straw. Straw probably wouldn't be a bad idea, right? Yes, let's do a straw. I'm gonna stamp my straw in pumpkin pie. And use the dies to cut it out. Although this would honestly be pretty simple to cut out just as it is, if you don't want to get the straw out. Now there are two that look very similar, these two. This one with the rounded edge, that's the cinnamon stick. That's how you can tell the difference. I'm going to put that angled edge. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should put this edge right up at the top. Where's my piece of tape here? Here we go. Here's another one. Okay, we have our little straw. Let's find our little cup again. Now I will put my little straw back here. Let's attach that with a little mini glue dot. Little glue dot here. I'm going to put the glue dot on the front of the bottom of the straw, because that is where we're attaching it to the back here. So we've got those two pieces, and they're going to go on there like so. Let's bring in our card, and let's see our layers here. And what we're going to do is put this over here. And now we just need some little saying or sentiment, I think. So we can put that there. Before I get all, into the adhesive, I'm going to figure out what I'm going to put there. How about grateful it's finally. And then we could do pumpkin spice season. We could do that on the inside. We could do that on the outside. Or love you more than you had me at. Or this calls for, you know what I like? I like you are the spice to my pumpkin. That would be fun, right? Let's do that. You are the. Now the question is finding it. You are the. There we go. I see it right here. Get my stamps together here. So it's long and skinny. I'm going to put it face up and then pick it up. So you are the, we can go ahead, I think, and adhere this down. Looks kind of yucky on the back. Remember, your blends bleed through. So this can never be a layer on its own when you're using blends. There we go. And we're gonna put this in here like this. I have to decide what I'm going to pop up though. I think I should pop up the whipped cream. That might pop it up too much. I'll pop it all up. How about that? Let's get our dimensionals out. And because I'm not quite sure where I'm putting this on, I'm gonna put it on over here. And then we'll put this one on. And a little added security is if you put that dimensional right over the top of where the glue dot was too. It's just an added security, although you probably don't need it. And we've got this right here. Okay. And now what we'll do is we're going to put in you are the, let's stamp that on white. We have all these little scraps. So let's go to just early espresso. Put that down there. You are the, and then we're going to need the to my. I'm just going to fussy cut these out too. So to my. And that one's a little bit too low. You know what? The you are my is a little bit too high, I think. Well, it's too high if I want to cut, not have to cut around that bottom edge. So there we go. We've got that. Let's take our snips out here. And we could use a paper trimmer, but this is short enough, so I think we can make it work. You are the, and then we've got to my. Now we can continue on and just stamp on white and cut out the pumpkin and the spice, but guess what? We have spice and we have pumpkin in dies. So I think the spice should be maybe in, let's do that in crumb cake. And let's do the pumpkin in pumpkin color. Let's see how that goes. I've gone ahead and put some adhesive sheet backing on my cardstock scraps. My spice is going to come from crumb cake. My pumpkin's going to come in. I want to make sure that I get it up here where this is. And I'm going to die cut this. I will show you sometime else in this class tonight how simple it is to apply these sheets. All right, we're back. Let's see. This is stuck in here, which we sort of figured it would be. And it's not in this one, so I'll take this one out. Use my take your pick tool just to get these extra little, actually those things will come out probably when I peel it. Let's see if I can arrange this to my liking though. You are the spice. You are the spice. Now it would be really great if that was over here a little bit more, just so that it could stand out. And spice to my, let's rearrange this a little bit, see how we like it. And then we're going to put our pumpkin. Let's go ahead and release this here. We're going to put our pumpkin maybe right down there. Now, I think this gets lost in the busyness of what's going on here. And let me give you a little secret of what you can do about that. If you take a darker color cardstock like this, Early Espresso, what you can do is, and I'm going to do it from the back, you can trace around your die. I'm almost off camera here, aren't I? And then you cut it out. So it is fussy cutting, but you are cutting on a line. So you don't have to make up your own line. So you can see I'm going to just cut around that. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the pumpkin, which, let's see. So our wanted to say dies, we have a set that does the detail like this, but it also has an outline one, which is really nice, but this one didn't, so we have to make our own. I'm just showing you that it's not that hard. It does take a little bit of time, but you know what? Winter's coming, the cooler weather's coming. You're not going to be doing stuff outside anyways. So go ahead and trace around and cut some stuff out. Here's the spice. And so we can see that, oops, here we go, it's gonna fit right over that. Let's take the backing off here. And if we're lucky, all those little inside pieces will come off at the same time, which they did. And we'll just put that in there. Sticks to your finger because it's got adhesive on the back, but you can make it work. You can adjust it so it fits just nicely. So there we go. We have You Are the Spice, and the brown gets lost on the brown background, but it helps it stick out over here. And then the same thing will be true for our pumpkin. Okay. So when your word is a lot longer than, spice was kind of short, pumpkin's longer, then I suggest only removing part of the adhesive backing and just putting it down a little bit at a time. That helps it cooperate, helps it keep its shape as much as possible. And if you see any little kind of what you might think are problem areas, you can certainly fix those with your snips. So like I think this little bottom end here, a little bit too big, but that's pretty good. And so there we go. Now all that we have left to do is adhere things down. I'm going to go right here. Make sure my cup is vertical. And we only need some adhesive on this little end here because we're going to have it sticking out a little bit. You are the... Okay. Spice. I notice this S needs to come back up, but the adhesive sheet allows you to move it a little bit, which is nice. To my, oh, there we go. Ooh, that's too much. There we go. A little too much glue on there. And then we need pumpkin. And it's a whole lot easier just taking it off when it's, putting this glue on when it's a wider piece. So I'm going to just put that right down there. You are the spice to my pumpkin. Fun, 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 fun. Can jazz it up a little bit. This is the pecan pie in clear. Let's go ahead and do that. Even though we haven't used pecan pie, it really does take on the color around it. So I don't know why I'm not using my take your pick tool. And there we go. Slide that off. Don't need that. And then one more. Let's go up here. Cute, right? Are you loving the More Than Autumn bundle? I think this bundle is perfect for those just because cards. You know, those cards you want to send to friends and family just because. Maybe somebody's having a bad day, or you've just been thinking of them and want to send them a little treat to pick them up. Maybe it's a gift card. Maybe it's just the card itself. Anyway, I think this lends itself beautifully this time of year, obviously, but also, as the name indicates, it's more than just autumn. It'll take you through winter and even beyond. If you are watching this video when it airs on Tuesday, September 24th, you should know that the clearance rack has just been refreshed. So this may be a perfect time not only to pick up the More Than Autumn bundle, but also something from the clearance rack. You can get some great deals, and remember, if your order is $60 or more before shipping and tax, I'm going to send you some free embellishments to go along with your class card kit. Now let's get back to our projects, and I'm going to show you which embellishment you're going to be receiving with your order. All right, I'm going to tie in a few things from our last card for this next card. Last card we used a plaid stamp. This time I will be using the Forever Plaid 3D embossing folder. So for an embossing folder, you will need the number 4 plate and the number 1 plate, and that is it. So let me bring that in. Here's our number 1, and we will simply put in, I have a piece of early espresso, and it measures, let me see, I didn't actually look at the measurement first. It is 5 1/4 by 2 1/4. When I'm putting this in plaid, you either have to put it in so that it's parallel to these lines, or perpendicular, whichever ones you're looking at, or it's definitely on an angle that you want it to be more kind of diamond shape. I want a nice straight plaid here, so I'll do my best to make it that way when it's going through the folder. Folded end of the folder through first, with the number 4 plate on top. Why is it going in hard at the end? Oh, I know, because this is not level. All right, I got it. Let me take this out here. So you see you have this lovely plaid effect going on this brown piece. All right, let's move this out of the way. We'll be die cutting shortly, but I'm bringing in a piece, oh, and I just dropped it. I'm bringing in a piece of crumb cake, and I'm going to adhere that right about there. Now, I started with a piece that was slightly longer, because when you run it through an embossing folder, it will shrink just a little bit. So if it goes over the edge, I can simply trim that off. Adhere that down. So far, pretty simple, right? Let's see if it shows on the other side. A little bit on this end. Take my little snips. There we go. And then we have that piece right there. Believe it or not, this is not going to be a fall card. It's going to be a Christmassy card, which means I need to bring in some Christmassy paper, like the Take a Bow. It looks like Take a Bow, but it's Take a Bow because it goes with a bow making die. 6x6 paper, and I'm using this print. And I only need a 3x3 piece of that print, which means we could get 4 3x3 pieces from this one 6x6 sheet. Like how I did that math for you? I know you could all do it. Just giving you a hard time. So we're going to put that right there, and see, automatically looks pepperminty and Christmassy all at the same time. Now you want to talk Christmassy. We're going to talk Christmassy in a minute. But first, what's going to be our image here? We're going to use everybody's favorite, except mine, the drink cup. I mean, don't get me wrong. I use cups, but they just don't usually have hot beverages in it. So I suppose if we made this a light one that really wasn't coffee related, I'd be fine. I'm gonna make this coffee related for you folks though. So here I have it mounted, and I need a scrap of, this isn't much of a scrap, but I need a scrap. Let's see if I can find a smaller piece. I can. Okay, I need a scrap piece of crumb cake. I'm going to stamp on that with the early espresso. You know what? Let's go ahead and do tone on tone. Let's do crumb cake on crumb cake. Make it a little bit more subtle. Okay. We will be die cutting that. And then I'm going to clean my stamp because I want a sleeve from my cup. You like how I learned my lesson and figured out what that was actually called? I remembered what it was called. So I want a red, do I want a red sleeve? No, I want an early espresso sleeve. I'll come in here. I'll stamp my cup again, this time though in early espresso, so I can see where to cut. Again, you can fussy cut this or you can die cut it. This cup, you're gonna have to fussy cut this one. I cut right on the line. I'm cutting inside the line. I don't want that dark edge showing too much. My eyes are not cooperating with me tonight, so we're going to have something that looks like that. It's a little rough cut, isn't it? Let's smooth it out a little bit where it's rough. There's rough there. It's a little rough down here at the bottom too. That's about as good as my eyes are going to let me get tonight. So that's going to go right there so it looks like a nice sleeve for that cup. I'm going to be cutting out a few things at once. So let's just do that. We're going to set this piece aside. It looks like it's trash, but it's not. We need the die that goes with this. Put this in here. So we're setting everything up so that we can run everything in one pass of the die cutting machine. No need to make extra trips if we don't have to. Let's see. Oops, it slipped a little bit. All right, that's good. So there's my cup. We will need also the whipped cream. Bring in a piece of basic white scrap. And this time I'm going to do something a little bit differently. I'm going to stamp it in a dark color. I'm going to stamp it in the early espresso. And again, I'm just giving you options. You may like it a different way. That's fine. It's nice to see your options before you actually do them, right? So we've got that dark. Bring in my light crumb cake. Oh, that's ivory. I don't want that one. I want light crumb cake. Here we go. And I'm just going to soften this a little bit, so it gives it a little bit more like it's a shadow. You know what would be yummy on this? Sprinkles. And yes, we have sprinkles. We'll get that sprinkle stamp out, and because we're talking peppermint, we need red sprinkles. We will get our real red pad out. And sorry about that. We'll stamp a bunch of sprinkles all over it. There we go. Got our sprinkles on there. And we will need the die that cuts that out. Let's get that out again. And let's see. Take the time to make it nice. All right, I need two other things here. I will be using I don't think I want the Nothing's Better Than. I think I want the peppermint. Help me find peppermint here. Pumpkin apple. Ooh, maybe peppermint's just a word. It's not a die. Okay. Well, fine. I will change my mind. I'm going to use latte though. And we're going to make this a little bit more festive by using the festive 12 by 12 paper. So festive 12 by 12 glimmer paper comes in these big sheets. There's the granny apple green and a lighter green, which lemon lime twist probably, and real red. But the real red also coordinates nicely with the cherry cobbler too. So I have a little piece of that left over from a swap that I was in. And I'm going to die cut that from there. We don't need a very big piece. Let's just trim this out so we can get everything on one pass. And because it's just the word there, it's not going to slip. I'm just going to leave it just like that. Now, this is a tiny, tiny little piece. So good idea to use an adhesive sheet. And I told you I'd show you how easy it is to use. So the adhesive sheets come in these big long sheets. I've already cut this one down a little bit and used some of it. So let's grab that one out. I want to use a little piece, a piece that's smaller than the glimmer piece that I just cut out. Now, in some areas of that adhesive sheet, there are little score marks or little cut marks that helps you separate this, but this is such a tiny sheet that I'm not going to be able to do that, but you can usually do it with your fingernail like I did. I don't even have fingernails. And when you peel it apart, one part is sticky, that part's sticky, and this part is not. The part that's not, you throw away. The part that's sticky goes on the back of this layer. All right. So now when I cut this out, it's going to have sticky on the back. I think we're ready to run things through. So we'll take our little cup off. Save my little sticky for another time. And we will take the latte out, which there's the word latte. Look, it's going to go on there. So cute. I'm going to keep my dies together before I lose them. And we're going to get the whipped cream out with the sprinkles. All right, and where did our sleeve go? Our sleeve went right here. And let's see, I think it goes the other way though. There we go. Nope, went this first way, I think. Yep, there we go. So we're gonna put that on there and look. The latte is gonna go right there. Don't worry about that little part in the A. That's gonna come out. So that's nice and festive looking. All right, let's bring in our other pieces. This and this. Let's go ahead and adhere these pieces together. There's that. And we'll peel the backing off this. And if you have a hard time with it, you could also, it separates usually pretty easily. You could use your take your pick tool. There's that backing. And this is sticky, but I find that you can reposition it as you need to. So if you don't get it right down the first time, you can pick it up and move it around. So there's latte. And we're gonna put this right here, somewhat down just like that, I think. Let's get this little, I don't think we want it totally centered. We'll put this here, and we'll put this up here. So see how it's coming together nicely? Got that nice refreshing, I mean, that looks good to me. That drink looks good to me, even though I am not a fan. Looking good and tasting good, two different things in my book. All right, let's put this right here. Get it straight. We're gonna pop this guy up on dimensionals. And we're also going to pop the whipped cream up on dimensionals. All right, I kind of put them together in tandem so that I can sort of see where it goes. All right, I'm gonna put this right here. Maybe move it over just a little bit. And we'll put this right on top. There we go. There's that. Now we just don't have any words. I mean, you can keep words off it if you want to. But let's bring in some of our white scraps. And I think this is going to call for our real red ink again. And what words are we going to use? Let's see. Let's use, you had me at peppermint. Well, that's fun. So you had me at, and then we need the peppermint. Peppermint, there we go. So I'm gonna mount that. And you had me that at, oh, hold on, I got stuck a little bit. Okay. Let's go with our real red again. You had me at, I'm going to do peppermint on the opposite side. There we go. Ooh, my red ink is very juicy. I'm going to give this a little bit larger border than I have the other times we've cut things out. And I'm also going to keep all the words together. You had me at, and then I'm going to definitely use my paper trimmer for this next one, just because it's getting a little bit I don't know, a little crowded. Oops, that was my Stampin' Cut emboss machine that I kicked with my chair. All right, let's see, about here, I think. There we go. You had me at peppermint. Nice straight lines. And just like that, let's go ahead and pop that up on dimensionals as well. Let's see. Getting down to the wire on these dimensionals. You had me at peppermint. And this one's going to go on straight, and it's not going to get popped up. At least not for me. Maybe it will be for you. You had me at. Kind of cute, right? We're not done because this is just a layer, right? We have to put this on a card base. So let's go on a thick card base, thick white, and see, now it looks even more festive on that bright white card base. And the only thing else we need is some embellishments. Now, what would go perfect on here are those little peppermint embellishments. The red and white peppermint embellishments from the mini catalog. But did you know that on free shipping day, those were very popular? They came back in just in time for free shipping day. And on free shipping day, they went out again. And they are not due back until October 21st, I think it is, which is a long time. I, however, happen to have a few extra packs. I have 8 extra packs, actually. So if your order is $60 or more, if you place an order in my online store of $60 or more by this coming Sunday, September 29th, I will include not only the supplies to create these cards. You'll need the bundle to create them exactly, but if you wanted to substitute things out, you could. But if the bundle would certainly get you in the right direction towards that $60 order, I will include a free package of these that you cannot get online yourself. So make sure that you look in the description of this video for the ordering link because it has a specific host code attached. And now we're just going to put on some of these cute little, and they're so flat, peppermints. Let's see, where are we going to put some of these? Well, let's put them where they're going to show up, which is probably going to be, we could put the one right here, I think, right in the center. Why are you not wanting to go down in the center there? All right, we can put that there. You know what? I think what I want to do is I want to move the latte. See, I told you could reposition it. I want to move the latte a little higher. Oop, now I got to move it a little bit to the right. You can reposition them. Latte, latte, la-di-da. All right, and then we can move this guy up a little bit further too. Here we go. So he shows up pretty nicely. Let's put some others. I like the small ones. Let's put another one right here. And maybe another one right here. So we've got our little triangle. We've got everything looking pepperminty. Cute, cute, cute. And on the inside, what we could do is we could take a little candy cane. I love how they have all these little extras that go nicely with the set. Where's the candy cane? Oh, here it is. All right, let's free up a block and go ahead and stamp some candy canes. Maybe like this, just in the corner. There we go. I rocked that one a little bit, but, and there's our card. For this next card, we're going to make something simple. We're not even going to get out the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Gasp, I know, but it's true. I'm going to begin with a piece of basic white cardstock that measures 3 3/4 by 5. And we have done peppermint latte and pumpkin spice, but what about your average normal coffee and donuts? Or let's make it child-friendly, hot cocoa and donuts. We have those sentiments or sayings or words in this set. So I'll get out the hot cocoa and the donuts. Now I'm going to stamp that right along the bottom here. I'm going to use my Glass Mat Studio. You can also use, if you wanted to, you could use grid paper. And I'm looking through the stamps and just aligning them on one of the lines. So this will make my words on the same level when I pick them up. I think I want to move this one over just a little bit. I want a little space in there to put the ampersand symbol. So now I just press down and I've got my 2 words already mounted. I'm doing this backwards. Usually I do the words last, don't I? Put this right down at the bottom. There we go. We've got donuts and hot cocoa. I'll put the ampersand in a minute. I don't want to give things away just yet. We will need our donut stamp and we will need our coffee cup, or in this case, hot cocoa cup. And I'll put the hot cocoa more on this side, the donuts more on this side. I'm going to have a couple of donuts here because it is plural. So I want to stamp more than one. The first thing I will do is I will stamp 1 donut. And let's just sort of put this right here in the middle. All right, now, if I were to set a cup behind it and maybe the other donut behind, I don't want the images to run together. So I need to mask this off. I'm going to bring in some masking paper. So masking paper is a very thin paper that has a very low tack adhesive on the back side. I'm going to stamp my donut here. Then I'm going to cut it out. Now, when I'm cutting out something that is going to be a mask, I want to cut on the inside of the line. So a lot of times when you're fussy cutting, you will cut on the outside of the line so that you can see the line in the finished product. But here, because all paper has a thickness, even this thin masking paper, we want to cut on the inside so that we make sure that nothing gets seen that isn't supposed to be seen. Cut all the way around this. All right, there we go. Now I need to peel off the backing. If you're using a larger image, you will notice, maybe I can show you, there is a split right here. Nope, other side. There's a split so that you can tear it off. You can find the sections to tear off more easily. I have a very small image. I didn't get the split on here at all. So that means it's just going to be a little bit more work to get it apart, but it's not that bad because, again, as I said, it is a low tack adhesive that's on here, and I have it. I don't have the fingernails to get it off. Hold on. I have it. I do have it. There it is. Okay. Now we're going to take this and cover it up, and you can use, we're going to cover up the part of the donut. All right, so that just lays right over the top. You can't even really tell it's a mask. Now I'm going to take my donut again, and I'm going to stamp this one a little behind and above. So see how those lines run together? But remember, this piece right here is not my card. It will be taken away in a minute. Then I'm going to put this cup right here. All right. I could put another donut on if I wanted to. But do I want to? I don't know. So the trick with masking is you want to know what your front image is going to be, and that is what you need to mask, because that's the one you want complete when you remove your masking. So I'm very carefully removing this, and I can save this for later, and I can see that whole donut image. Perfect. I like to keep my masks in. See, I already had I had another version of the mask as well. All right, so now it's time to color this. Now, I live in New England. So what do we have in New England? That's fairly unique to New England, but can be found in other spots. I know Florida has some, but a lot of the country does not have what I'm thinking of. Do you know what I'm talking about? That's right, Dunkin' Donuts. And what colors? Now they've gotten away from this, or they've changed it a little bit, but generally when you think of Dunkin' Donuts, I think of bright orange and bright pink. So that's what I'm bringing in here. I'm bringing in my Melon Mambo Light, my Pumpkin Pie Dark. I'm gonna bring in Crumb Cake and Pecan Pie. So I'm gonna color my donuts first, and the donut part of one of these is going to be pecan pie. Let's make that the front one. And so there's just a little bit of donut itself that is peeking through here. Take my time coloring. There's my donut part. Oops, got some inside here. So there's a frosted donut. And then maybe I'll take my Crumb Cake Dark and do the other donut, so it's a slightly different flavor. Maybe this is a spice cake donut. You could make a darker brown for a more chocolatey brown, do whatever. And then I'm going to take my light crumb cake and I'm going to make the cup. Not the wrap, not the sleeve, but just the cup. And I can come back in with my dark and do some shading. Now here's a little tip for you. When you're coloring, you want to do some blending when the inks are as wet as they're going to be. And because they're alcohol inks, they're going to dry fairly quickly. So do one portion at a time. So now I'll come back in here and just blend that all together. And you can see how the lines really fade away. Okay. Same thing on the bottom. And I'm being very gentle with my tips. I can't really use the brush end of my paper pumpkin tip because that has seen better days. So I'm just kind of shading around the edges here. And I'll come back in and blend away. And oftentimes when I'm blending, I will blend in circular motions with that lighter color. And even if it doesn't look like it's working at first, it will get better. It kind of works as it's going along. So there we have that. Oh, you know what we need? We need some marshmallows for our hot cocoa, don't we? Yes, we do. If you want to mask off that, now that's a straight line right there, but I want my marshmallows to look like they're in the cup. I'm gonna just take a piece of this scrap paper here. Now put that right underneath that line because that line's fairly thick. I'm bringing my marshmallows. I'm going to stamp them in early espresso as well. I'm just going to sink them into the cup a little bit. So now when I take this off, you can see that the marshmallows are clearly in the cup. All right, now we just got to add some color to this. So again, we've got Dunkin' Donuts. So we're going to use the orange and the melon mambo, the pumpkin pie and the melon mambo. All right, now that pink is it is pretty bright, even for Dunkin' Donuts logoing. So I'm going to just bring my color lifter here, and that's just going to soften it just a little bit. I don't know if you can see it working. I can see it working. Let's get some lighter color there. All right, we're almost done. So donuts and hot cocoa. Let's get that ampersand out. And because the pink is right above it, I'm going to choose the orange right below it. Here's my ampersand. I'm going to put that right in the middle. Donuts and hot cocoa, and we need another sentiment. And I will bring in my melon mambo. And let's look at what we have for sentiments here. We have, how about this calls for? That just sounds like, you know, you've got something to celebrate. Or honestly, maybe it's a tough thing and you want to just sort of drown your sorrows in a donut and hot cocoa. So let's go ahead and add this calls for. I'm going to stand up so I can get it straight. I hope. This calls for donuts and hot cocoa. Let's mount this onto our early espresso. Wait till you see the fun background I'm going to create though. Remember, your blends do bleed through. You want them to. That's what's going to help them blend a lot better. All right. So there we go. There's that. And I'm going to bring in my card base. Now, my card base is pretty plain, right? So, I mean, I do have this. Does that not look like a Dunkin' Donuts-y card? I could have probably made this front panel even smaller, but this is the size I made it. But let's go ahead and give a little treatment to the outside. Remember those sprinkles that were in there? Let's see, I've got my sprinkles somewhere. Ooh, where did I put them? Gotta get my sprinkles. There we go. We have them. Put them on the ampersand block. All right, I'm gonna bring in the sprinkles. And I probably need to bring in a piece of typing paper, you know, copy paper, just because I will be stamping around the edges. So here's my pumpkin pie. I'm gonna just put some sprinkles around the edges. You can leave some white space. Don't have to leave a lot, because we're going to be overlapping pink and orange. Remember, you don't have to stamp in too far because there's not a whole lot of this that shows. Again, if you want more of it to show, just cut your layers down a little bit. All right, so there's enough of my orange. Now I need to get out my Melon Mambo. Let me just quickly clean that stamp. We're almost done. All right, one more over here, I think. There we go. Doesn't that look festive? That'd make great confetti too. All right, let's bring our card back in here. And so, I got orange over here. That's all right. I'm gonna take my sand eraser and get that off. All right, here's my sand eraser, and I just picked this up off on Amazon. Really what it does is it erases a whole layer of paper. So just that top layer. And then look, voila, it's gone. Phew, crisis averted. Let's pop this up with dimensionals. All right. Make a little pocket inside if you wanted to put that gift card holder in. There we go. Let's see. Get this on here kind of straight. There we go. And there is our card. Nothing too hard about this card. You know what? We need something right there, I think. There's something else in here. There's a little heart in here. There's actually a little heart die as well. So if you wanted to die cut, you could. But remember what I said I was doing here? I'm not die cutting. I'm trying to make this a card made without a die cutting machine. I'm going to bring in my early espresso. I'm going to bring in a scrap piece of cardstock. All right, just stamp that. And I'm going to fussy cut. A heart is not hard to fussy cut. By the way, I saw a sneak peek of upcoming online exclusives, and they have listened and released online exclusives for Valentine's Day earlier this year. So instead of debuting in the January mini catalog, which is very close to Valentine's Day, they're putting it in, they're putting a whole suite in the online exclusives that come out in November. I should have probably colored this before. So since it's coming out in November, you'll have plenty of times to make your Valentines. And it doesn't mean that there aren't Valentine stuff in the mini. There are. But the suite features now, I'm not a big Valentine's person. I'm not going to buy a lot of Valentine's stuff because it's so limited for me. If you had kids and you want to, or if you like to just get involved with Valentine's Day and send a lot of that stuff out, that's great. It's just not me. So, but I do love the die set that is part of the suite because it is all hearts. Different sized hearts. Oh yeah, this completes it perfectly, right? There we go. We could add some little sequins on here and colors if we wanted to, but I think that's pretty. This screams Dunkin' Donuts to me. So there we go. And then you can just write a note inside inviting somebody, put in a little gift card if you wanted to. You could create another one of these little confetti layers. And just, you know what, let's do that. All right, I've got a piece of basic white. I'm gonna bring back my sprinkles and see if we can get them done this time. Except we're gonna go all over the sheet this time. There we go. This is an old retired circle punch. Just gonna punch a little bit in there in the center there. Then we put this right here and we can just insert our little gift card. And when they take the gift card out, then they can read what you say. You can also attach it up here and they can see the gift card and then you can write what you want to down here. So if you're going to attach a gift card, I would use tear and tape only on 3 sides. Because you know what happens if you use 4 sides? Yeah, you can't get anything in there. All right, here we go. Press that down, and then that allows you to very easily pick up. There we go. Let's go ahead and do this on the top. Just like that. I do not have a Dunkin' Donuts gift card on me, unfortunately. So maybe you just put on, by the way, this is not a good Visa card either. It's all spent. But you can just insert that in there. I don't think it's a little too narrow for me to put it in the other way, but that goes right like that. And then you have something down here. I think if we just do a regular stamp of a cup, maybe on an angle, just accentuates it a little bit down there and decorates it. And there is our card. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed tonight's projects. I will be back with you on Friday for a Friday night Not So Live. It will be a taped version because I have another commitment. But then on Sunday, September 29th, I'm going to begin my 12 Sundays of Christmas series. I hope you'll join me for that at 3 p.m. on Sunday. Have a great rest of your week.